This video is to review lesson 7.2. The essential question is, how can you solve problems with proportions? We are going to look at using equivalent ratios to solve proportions first. A proportion is a statement that two ratios or rates are equivalent. So 1 to 3 and 2 to 6 are equivalent ratios. So 1 to 3 equals 2 to 6 is a proportion. Here's another example. We can say 1 to 2 is a proportion with 5 to 10. These are equivalent ratios, so they form a proportion. All right, in Canvas, you can find these notes, solving proportions notes. You may want to put them in Notability and follow along, or make a copy and follow along. So we're going to look at two ways to solve proportions. The first one is to use equivalent ratios. So here's our example. Hannah can wrap 3 boxes in 15 minutes. How many boxes can she wrap in 45 minutes? So we set up and we write this original ratio, 3 boxes in 15 minutes. And then we're solving for that missing number in our second ratio to create a proportion. And so we have to think, okay, 15 times 3 gets us to 45. So to get that missing number, we have to do the 3 times 3, and we end up with 9 to 45. Hannah can wrap 9 boxes in 45 minutes. Here's another example. Hendrik wants to enlarge a photo that is 4 inches wide and 6 inches tall. The enlarged photo keeps the same ratio. How tall is the enlarged photo if it is 12 inches wide? So we're going to set up our proportions. So we have our original ratio is 4 to 6. So there's that written. And then we're trying to figure out if our second photo is 12 inches wide, how tall will it be? So we're going to multiply or divide to figure out the unknown. In this case, we have to do 4 times 3 to get to 12. So we're going to do 6 times 3 to figure out the unknown part is 18. The members of the PTA are ordering pizza for a meeting. They plan to order 2 cheese pizzas for every 3 pepperoni pizzas they order. How many cheese pizzas will they order if they order 15 pepperoni pizzas? So we're going to look at our original ratio of cheese to pepperoni pizzas. And in our problem it says they're going to have 2 cheese pizzas for every 3 pepperoni. So it's a 2 to 3 ratio. We're going to set up a proportion with what we know. So we know they want to order 15 pepperoni pizzas. So we are going to use multiplication to figure out that unknown number, how many cheese pizzas they're going to order. So we can think 3 times 5 gets us to 15. So we're going to do 2 times 5. That will be 10. So they're going to order 10 cheese pizzas. The second way to solve proportions is to use unit rates. So in this example over here, Dan can cycle 7 miles in 28 minutes. How long will it take him to cycle 9 miles? So first we're going to get the unit rate, or the minutes per 1 mile. So we're going to take 28 minutes divided by 7 miles to figure out how many minutes it takes for him to cycle 1 mile. So when we do that, we find out he can cycle 4 minutes. It takes 4 minutes per mile. So if he needs to go 9 miles, and each mile is going to take him 4 minutes, we'd multiply that and figure out that it will take him 36 minutes. Allie can run 3 miles in 36 minutes. At this rate, how far could he run in 60 minutes? So we're going to set up a proportion. So we have our time, 36 minutes equals 3 miles, and we're trying to solve how many miles would that be in 60 minutes. Since 60 is not a multiple of 36, so I can't easily multiply or divide to get to 60, we are going to use a unit rate. So we're going to first figure out the unit rate. If he is running for 36 minutes and goes 3 miles, we can use a unit rate of 12 minutes per 1 mile. So his unit rate is he runs 1 mile in 12 minutes. So now we can use that unit rate to figure out that unknown. So we can think, 12 times 5 gets me to 60. So 1 times 5 will get that unknown. So Allie can run 5 miles in 60 minutes. Here's another example of using a unit rate to solve a proportion. Miss Reynolds' sprinkler system has 9 stations that water all the parts of her front lawn and back lawn. Each station runs for an equal amount of time. If it takes 48 minutes for the first 4 stations to water, how long does it take to water all parts of her lawn? So when we're thinking about this, we have this 48 minutes for 4 stations, and we're trying to figure out how many minutes it's going to take for 9 stations. And again, when we look at this, there's not a number that a whole number that we can multiply 4 times to get to 9. So we're going to calculate a unit rate first. When we calculate our unit rate, we're calculating our per one. So we want to figure out how many minutes per 1 station. So we're going to do 48 divided by 4. 48 divided by 4 gives us 12. So it takes 12 minutes per 1 station. So now we can use that unit rate to figure out that missing number in our proportion. So if 12 minutes is for 1 station and we're trying to figure out 9 stations, now we can use multiplication to say 1 times 9 gets us to that 9. So we're going to multiply 12 times 9. It will take 108 minutes for her to water all 9 stations. All right, part of our proportion work is going to be on map scale. So what is a scale? A scale is the ratio of the size of objects on a map compared to their size in the real world. So on this map, we can see that the scale is 4 centimeters equals 1 kilometer. And so using that information, we can figure out different distances on our map. So when we're looking at a map scale, we're going to compare the actual distance to the map distance. And so for this one, we'd be looking at, we know 1 kilometer equals 4 centimeters. Okay, the actual is 1 kilometer. On the map, it's 4 centimeters. So if I want to figure out, using this ratio of 1 to 4, 1 kilometer equals 4 centimeters, I can think, what if I had a distance on my map that was 8 centimeters? How much would that be in kilometers? Well, I can use my reasoning here to figure out, okay, 4 times 2 will get me to 8. So 1 times 2 would be 2 kilometers for 8 centimeters. So a scale drawing is a drawing of a real object that is proportionally smaller or larger than the real object. A scale describes how the dimensions in the object compare. So a map is a scale drawing. The measurements on a map are in proportion to the actual distances. If 1 inch on a map equals the actual distance of 2 miles, the scale is 1 inch equals 2 miles. You can write a scale as a rate to solve proportions. So that's what we're going to do for this problem. Again, we're going to be comparing the actual to the map to solve. The distance between Sandville, here's Sandville, and Lewiston is shown on the map. What is the actual distance between the 2 towns? So we know from our scale, the actual distance, when the actual distance is 20 miles, that is equivalent to 1 inch on the map. So here I'm writing my ratio of actual to map. I know in this problem, I have the distance on the map is 2.5 inches. And I'm trying to figure out how many miles that is. To go from 1 to 2.5, I just have to multiply by 2.5. 1 times 2.5, or 2.5. So I'm going to do that same thing up here. I'm taking 20 times 2.5. When I multiply that out, I can figure out that this is 50 miles. You can definitely use your calculator to do these calculations if that's all right. One more map scale one. So we have this map and it says that 1 inch equals 6 miles. So again, I'm going to set up my proportion to compare actual distance to the map distance. And so my actual distance on this example is 6 miles equals 1 inch. And so on this map, I'm trying to figure out this distance between Digbytown and Rhinebonetown, and it's 4 inches, so I know that the map distance is 4 inches, and I'm trying to figure out this unknown. So I can use my mental math to think, okay, 1 times 4 gets me to 4. So 6 times 4 will get me to that unknown distance, which is 24 miles. So on the map, when it's 4 inches, that would equal 24 miles in actual distance. Today your job is to do lesson 7.2 in HMH, the homework. It should show up on your dashboard underneath assignments. It'll be listed lesson 7.2 homework, modified for DL 2021. If for some reason it's not showing up for you, you can click view assignments and you would be clicking on, oops, I got a little sloppy. You're going to be clicking on the last day of the quarter, which is March 25th. If you click on that, your assignment will for sure show up there. Have a great day.